Once upon a time, near a deep dark forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his wife and his 2 children Hansel and Gretel. They were very poor and often had nothing to eat. One evening, when there was nothing left in the house but a few crumbs, the stepmother said to the woodcutter, "There is no food for us or for the children. Tomorrow we will take Hansel and Gretel deep into the forest and leave them there. We can no longer feed them." The kind father was heartbroken. "I could never do that," he said. But the cruel woman insisted until he sadly agreed. Hansel and Gretel were not asleep that night and heard everything. Gretel began to cry, but Hansel whispered, "Don't worry, I will find a way." When their parents fell asleep, Hansel went outside and filled his pockets with small white pebbles that shone in the moonlight. The next morning, their stepmother woke them up early and gave them a tiny piece of bread. Together they walked into the dark forest. As they walked, Hansel dropped the pebble along the path behind them. When they were deep in the forest, the stepmother said, "Stay here and rest. We will come back for you soon." But of course, they never did. That night, when the moon rose, the pebbles shone brightly, and Hansel said, "Follow the stones, Gretel. They will lead us home." They walked all night and reached their father's house at dawn. The father was overjoyed to see them, but the stepmother was angry. Soon after, hunger returned. The stepmother said again, "We must get rid of the children. This time, they will not come back." Hansel tried to collect more pebbles, but the door was locked, so he took crumbs of bread instead. The next morning, they were led into the forest again, and Hansel dropped crumbs on the path. But when night came, they found that the birds had eaten all the crumbs. They were lost. For 3 days, they wandered in the forest, tired and hungry. On the 3rd day, they saw something shining between the trees. Little house made entirely of bread and sugar, with windows of clear candy. "Let's eat," cried Hansel. "A roof made of cake," shouted Gretel. They began to nibble happily. Suddenly, the door opened, and an old woman came out. She leaned on a stick and smiled sweetly. "Oh, dear children, come inside. You must be tired and hungry." They didn't know she was an evil witch who built her candy house to trap children. She gave them milk, cakes, and soft beds to sleep in. But the next morning, the witch grabbed Hansel and locked him in a cage. "Now you will get fat, and I shall eat you," she said wickedly. Gretel was forced to work and cook for her brother. Every day, the witch checked Hansel's finger to see if he was getting fat. But clever Hansel held out a thin bone instead. Because her eyesight was poor, the witch thought he was still too skinny. Weeks passed, and finally, the witch grew impatient. "Fat or thin, I will eat him tomorrow," she shouted. She told Gretel to heat the oven. The little girl pretended not to know how. "Please show me how to get in," she said. The witch bent over to show her, and Gretel gave her a hard push and shut the oven door tight. The witch screamed and burned to ashes. Gretel ran to free Hansel, and they hugged with joy. Inside the witch's house, they found jewels and gold. They filled their pockets and began the journey home. After many days, they reached their father's cottage. The stepmother had died, and the father cried with happiness to see his children again. Hansel poured out the jewels, and they all lived together in peace, never hungry again. Moral: courage, cleverness, and love can overcome even the darkest troubles.